Welcome to the public meeting for proposed OP and zoning bylaw amendments for Premier Avenue East, Mac Street, and Lanes on Tuesday, May 5th, 2026 at 4:50 p.m. is our call to order and moment of silence. Item number 2, land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the town of Kirkland Lake is located on traditional and unceded territory of Indigenous peoples. We recognize the presence of these Indigenous people in our community since time immemorial and honor their stewardship and care of these lands. We hereby affirm our continued commitment and responsibility to reconciliation. Item number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest. Are there any declarations? Councillor Owen?
Yes, even though this would not affect my family any which way, especially not financially, based on previous advice I was given by our integrity commissioner, I am declaring pecuniary interest. I, Rick Owen, am declaring a deemed pecuniary interest on the agenda of the meeting dated May 5th, 2026. It's an open meeting, a public meeting. And framing the on items through 4 through 8. The agenda title is public meeting. It is deemed the matter may affect my parent, my spouse, or my child. The nature of my interest is as follows. My son, Brian Owen, is an employee of Agnew Legal Minds. Signed by Rick Owen.
Thank you, sir. So noted. Anything further from members of council? Nothing further noted. Item number 4, summary of reports. A summary of the report presented to council will be undertaken by Planning Administrator Jenna McNaughton, followed by further information from Morgan Jones, Senior Planner for JL Richards and Associate Limited. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we do have Morgan Jones online as well for any technical responses if need be. But I'm going to do my best to summarize the report that's been presented to us. So today we're looking at a proposed zoning bylaw and official plan amendment. This is our public meeting that is required statutorily under the Planning Act. This application was received from the Jones Consulting Group on behalf of Agnew Minds Limited. The official plan amendment application is to amend Schedule A of the urban settlement area by expanding the urban area to include the Phase 1 lands, and to amend Schedule B1 designations by redesignating these lands from rural to residential. The concurrent zoning bylaw amendment application is to rezone the lands from rural RA, future residential development DARES, and residential high density R3 to the new zone that will be residential high density with special provisions. So it'll be R3-01. The effect of these applications will be to permit the development of seven 3-story apartment buildings containing 175 units and 11 single detached dwellings for a total of up to 186 residential units. At this time, there may be a reconfiguration of how those buildings are structured, but the total unit count is aimed to be 186 units. Our notice of public meeting was published on April 15th on the town's website. The notice was also sent out 120 meters around the subject property, and there was a notice posted on the site as well. So just as this planning report is lengthy, it does go through the review of the provincial planning statement, the growth plan for Northern Ontario, a review of our official plan, and the zoning bylaw. So just in summary, The proposed development in partnership with Stellimar Communities Limited is to help meet the housing needs of Agnico employees and their families. This proposed subdivision development will include the detached dwellings, the apartment buildings. This will be an extension from Premier Avenue East, and it will connect the residents to our existing public roads, built up to municipal standards, and will also be connected to the municipal water and sanitary lines. Currently, the property is vacant, and it's surrounded by low-density residential to the west and vacant lands to the northeast and south. The property, as I mentioned, is currently zoned or designated as rural in our official plan. As part of this application process, there were multiple studies that were required to be submitted. All of these studies are available. Should anybody wish to further review them, they can come to our office to further review those studies. I think I just want to make sure that I get a good look at that. As I said, this report is fairly lengthy, but it does go through each of those policies. The report is providing just an overview of the application to permit this, the extension of municipal services and the residential development. Following a review of the agency comments and this public consultation, a further staff report will come back to council at an upcoming meeting, which will actually go through a thorough analysis of all the relevant policies. So at this stage, this is just kind of for information purposes, and the public meeting acts as part of that statutory requirement of the Planning Act.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Is there anything to add, Morgan, at this time?
Can everyone hear me?
Thank you.
You can? Oh, I hope so. I'm getting a lot of feedback or echo. That must be on my end. Thank you for having me, Morgan Jones, J.L. Richards and Associates. As Jenna has stated, there's a concurrent official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment that's been submitted for consideration. The application is out under circulation to a variety of departments and agencies, and is also being reviewed by J.L. Richards staff. The application proposes to take the land from rural area to urban settlement and rezone from rural and future residential development to an R3 zone. As stated, tonight is really a background report to give council and members of the public more information on the application. And what will happen is, at the appropriate time, we will report back with detailed response to comments received and provide a recommendation to council. And I believe the applicant is also here tonight to speak to further details of this application.
Yes, thank you very much. Item number 5, confirmation of notice. Madam Deputy Clerk, how was notice given?
Notice of the public meeting was given in accordance with the Town of Clifton Lakes Notice Bylaw 2557 by publishing said notice on the town's website more than 13 days in advance as of April 15th, as Jenna mentioned. Supplemental notice was published in the town's social media streams and within daily local radio broadcasts, and as Jenna mentioned, subject areas around it.
Thank you. Madam Deputy Clerk, was there any correspondence received from members of the public surrounding the proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendments before this meeting?
Mayor, I confirm that no correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7, comments and questions from members of the public. Before I ask my next question, I would like to remind all members at the table of council that this is a public meeting and there is no discussion or debate with members of the public. Madam Clerk, was there any registered to provide comments or pose questions prior to this meeting?
So we have, Mr. Ray Duhamel from, the Jones, Group Consulting to speak to, was, arranged to speak.
Thank you. I will now invite the partner from Jones Consulting Group Limited, Mr. Ray DeHamel, to join us via Zoom. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council and staff. My name is Ray Duhamel from the Jones Consulting Group, speaking this evening on behalf of Agnico Eagle Mines Limited. I do have a brief presentation, Madam Mayor, if it's all right if I share my screen. Thank you. Can you or the clerk, Madam Mayor, or the clerk, could you confirm you can see my screen?
We can, thank you.
Great, thank you. So as noted, this isn't, as already stated, this is an application for official plan amendment, zoning bylaw amendment. I only have 7 brief slides to go through with you.
Excuse me, can you make it bigger? It's hard to see.
Okay, thank you for that. Sorry, just a brief pause. We're going to try to make it bigger on our end.
Oh,
So that-
okay, no problem.
Yeah. Just so that all members in the audience and around the table can have a better view.
Perfect. Let me know when you're ready.
No, no. Is it possible from our end?
Get full screen on the bottom.
Full screen on bottom.
No, there's a way to remove these on the side. I can't remove.
Councillor Dickens, is that for your benefit or for
I
members
think
of the
for
public?
both, I can't see what it says.
There we go. Direct it to the rest of you.
Madam Mayor, I did circulate the presentation to staff. Is it possible they could, right now, if any of the members of council can't see the screen, is there any chance that could be circulated so that the council member could follow along at the same time? Is that possible?
So it is for those around the table. We also have a full gallery of.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I understand.
So yes, thank you very much for your patience.
Slightly bigger as it came.
Is that better, Councillor Dickens?
Yeah, because they can see.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the interruption. You may proceed.
Great. Thank you very much. Again, Madam Mayor, members of council. The slide before you is the location map. The application before you this evening only applied to what's known, what we're calling as phase 1 of the lands. That's the blue triangle at the top of the screen. That parcel is about 8.4 hectares in area. The overall parcel is 23 hectares in land. That includes the phase 2 lands, which are outlined in black. And those lands will be subject to, future consideration, and they're under a separate technical review right now. As mentioned, the property is immediately east of Premier Avenue East and Rand Avenue East, which are located right here. And then there's a hydro easement to the north and to the south. And then there's the extension of, I'm not sure exactly where the line for Pollock Street and where the unopened sort of Harvey Kirkland Road starts and stops in here, but that's what this extension is in this area right along here. Just quickly, area context, the 2 slides on the top show the type of general housing in the immediate vicinity. And then the site is located within approximately a 1 kilometer walking distance of an elementary school to the west and the community complex to the northeast. And this is the site plan. And so the proposal is to introduce employment housing in 2 different built forms. The first being apartment dwellings that are 3 stories in height, and as well as single detached dwellings. So the total unit count is 187 units proposed on this preliminary site plan, but there is some work underway right now by the architects to refine the buildings and by the engineers to refine the grading. So there could be some change to the actual building shapes, potentially even 1 more building added. But ultimately, I don't think that there will be more than the 186 units proposed. That's more on the top end of the spectrum. As you can see here, the gray line in the middle is the extension of Premier Avenue, which would terminate in a cul-de-sac in the short term. The intention is to ultimately convey this to the town as a public road, and then ultimately provide for a connection to the north, so the lands to the north could also have access to Premier Avenue East as well. And then the lands in green as a proposed neighborhood park. This would be for the benefit of the residents in the site, but as well as added to the town's parkland inventory. It would become an asset of the town of Kirkland Lake and would be open to the public. And then, as I've already described, these beige rectangular boxes are the proposed apartment buildings, and then the single detached dwellings are proposed A through K in this vicinity right here. And then each of the apartment buildings, where there's an orange star, there would be a dedicated amenity area outdoor at grade that is in addition to the neighborhood park. So that the amenity areas would be private areas supporting the individual apartment dwellings. The discussion today is around the nature of these applications. The first is an official plan amendment, and that has actually two components to it. You'll see on the left side of the screen, you have Schedule A in the current town's official plan, which is your urban area boundary. And that's what this hatched area is here. And the proposal is in this blue triangle is to include the phase 1 lands in the urban area boundary. And so that would become part of your urban settlement area. And then on the right side of the screen, that's your land use schedule, which is B1 of your official plan. And the intent is to redesignate the lands from rural currently to residential. And that's by effectively from a color standpoint is just identifying those as being yellow instead of white on your schedule B1 land use, and then the corresponding name change. From a zoning perspective, again, the lands are outlined in red. Those are the phase 1 lands. There was a historic subdivision dating back to 1940 on these lands. I think it was about 57 residential lots and municipal streets. The town council deemed that to no longer be a subdivision by bylaw as of December of last year. But there is this historical zoning reference that still applies, the DARES zone, the future development zone. Then some of the rest around the perimeter is the rural zone, which is RA. And there's even a little piece right here that's zoned R3. So the proposal is to rezone the entire triangle parcel as R3 with some special provisions. And those special provisions are laid out on the slide in this part of the slide here, right here, as well as in the submission to the town. But there's a variety of special provisions being requested, including to apply the R1 zoning standards to the single detached lots, to assign Premier Avenue East as the frontage for the development within the property, to establish some varying setbacks for the apartments, and to adjust the open space requirement, eliminated actually because we're proposing amenity area and a neighborhood park, to allow more than one principal dwelling on a lot, and to establish a minimum lot area for an apartment lot. So those are all the special provisions that we're proposing to implement the site plan that I just showed you 2 slides ago. And this is the last slide. Madam Mayor, members of council, this is the technical work that has already been alluded to. So if there's any member of the public that has it in their fancy to review any of these documents or plans, they're welcome to do that and provide their comments to municipal staff. And that concludes my presentation, Your Worship, members of council. But happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate your report to council this evening. I will now invite members of the public to line up in the center aisle at the podium. You will each have an opportunity to provide your comments or pose questions, and you can only speak once. Please state your name and address before speaking so that you may be recorded. So I will now welcome members of the public to the podium.
My name is Myrna White, and I live at 44 Rand Ave East. Our main entrance to our place is on Mack Street, which we find that road is definitely not wide enough for even 2 vehicles to pass by each other. And the traffic that's going to be going back and forth through there, how is that going to be dealt with?
Thank you very much. We do appreciate it. As previously stated, these comments and questions will be addressed when the report comes back. So thank you for that.
Hello, I'm Bonnie Zapprider, 23 Premier Avenue East. So when looking at the preliminary site plan, I was really pleased to see dedicated parkland, amenity areas, and the sidewalk, 3 meters in width is fabulous. Really nice to see the acknowledgement that a sidewalk from Pollock up to the new subdivision is required to promote active transportation. I also really appreciate the recommendation to change the yield sign to a stop sign at the Pollock Premier intersection. There's lots of accidents and near misses there. And it may be an opportunity to investigate a four-way stop there. My concerns and questions are in regard to traffic and the proposed roadway. I was able to, it was my fancy, I guess, as previously indicated, to get the transportation review study. So thank you to Director Labrador to provide that to me earlier today. So it identifies a minor impact on the boundary road network, estimating about 400 more trips a day. So to me, 400 more trips a day is more than a minor impact, especially on a very quiet road. I think also that those trips might be underestimated. So when I'm looking at it, if there's 186 units for employees and families, if there's 2 drivers in a unit and they go out and back once a day, that's 744 trips. If they go out and back twice a day, it's about 1,500 trips. If they go out and back 3 times a day, it's about 2,200 trips. So to me, that's more than a minor impact, it's a significant impact. Then looking at the width of the road. So I know that municipal road allowance is 66 feet. In front of my house, it's just under 20 feet of pavement. So there's a bit of an opportunity to go a bit wider than that, but not a lot. So I'm a little concerned about the width of the road in terms of the amount of traffic. So estimating that there will be significant increase in the amount of traffic, coupled with the fact that it's a narrow, a bit of a substandard road, I'm wondering if there could be consideration to accessing the new village off the Harvey Kirkland Road rather than off the Premier Road. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Anything further from members of the public? Nothing further. Item number 8, consideration of proposed bylaws. There are none this evening. Madam Deputy Clerk, please read the directions stemming from this public meeting.
That council received the presentation for information, and that council received comments from members of the public, if any, and finally that a supplementary report be brought at a future date with next steps.
Thank you. This is the recommendation moving forward. Item number 9 is adjournment. This concludes the public meeting for this evening. We're going to take a brief 5-minute recess just to allow any members of the public that are in chambers to exit so that you're not interrupting or feel awkward while we start the next meeting. So thank you very much for everyone coming this evening. Welcome to the regular council meeting of Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Call to order at 5:14, sorry, pardon me. There will be no land acknowledgement stated during this meeting, as we have already done that at our public meeting just prior to this meeting. Item number 3, approval of the agenda, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen.
Be resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, May 5th, 2026 be approved as circulated.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 4, declaration of pecuniary interest. Councillor Owen.
Again, this is based on advice I was given by our integrity commissioner. Even though what I'm declaring the pecuniary interest over would have no impact on my family whatsoever, especially not financial. I, Rick Owen, am declaring a deemed pecuniary interest on May 5th, 2026 at an open meeting for items number 8.2 and 10.1. Agenda title: supplemental request to purchase part of parcel 4198 section and bylaw 2028 executed land sale part of MCL 1403 and L1404 bracket Queen Elizabeth Soccer Field. It is deemed in the matter may affect my parent, my spouse, or my child. the nature of my interest is my wife Charlene is on Kirkland Lake Soccer Association. And it is signed by myself.
Thank you, sir. Any further declarations of pecuniary interest? No more noted. Item number 5, civic petitions. There are none this evening. Item number 6, delegations and presentations. There are also none. Item number 7, approval and acceptance of minutes. Council minutes, April 21st, 2026, moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Pat Kiley.
Be it resolved that council approve the minutes of the following meeting, minutes of the regular meeting of council held April 21st, 2026.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Local and regional board minutes moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Ladd Shava.
Be it resolved that council receive the minutes of the following meeting, minutes of the Kirkland Lake Public Library Board held February 19th, 2026.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 8, reports from municipal officers and staff. 8.1, Community Improvement Plan Background Report, moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Pat Kiley.
Be it resolved that report number 2026 BEV 11 entitled Community Improvement Plan Background Report be received for information.
Thank you. And this will be presented by Dan Laverdure, Director of Development and Enterprise Services, and Morgan Jones, Senior Planner, JL Richards and Associates Limited. Thank you for rejoining us.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and all of council. So tonight, as the mayor alluded to, is the background report for the community improvement plan. So as you're aware, in 2025, we embarked on an update to improve our community improvement plan. Tonight, I have Morgan joining us from JL Richards and Associates, which will provide council with some findings from the report, and then we will take any questions if there is any. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back, sir. There, can you speak again, sir?
Can you hear me at all?
We can.
Not well. See, is that better at all?
Yeah.
It is, yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me back. Presentation ready, and I will just do a slideshow. Can everybody see that?
Just give us one moment. You are able to screen share now? We're just not seeing it on our end. There we go. Yes, thank you, sir. Oh, no, we lost it again.
Lost it again as soon as I go to slideshow. For some reason, it seems to disappear. So I'll just keep it up and let me know when you have it. Yeah. Can everybody see that?
We cannot, sir.
If we pull up my report, it's in the.
So what we're gonna do on our end is our deputy clerk will pull up the report, and if you would just be patient with us for just a moment, and she'll be able to flip through on your command as you give your speaking notes.
So these.
You see our screen now?
It's the,
So, unfortunately, we're having some audio issues that we can't hear you currently. Yes. Yeah. Very, very faintly, unfortunately.
it's up to max volume. Not sure. Does it sound any better?
Yes, coming through clearly now. Can you see our screen?
I can see the background.
Okay. Yeah, you can go ahead and proceed. Thank you for your patience.
So, Joe Richards was retained last year to do a update to the Town of Kirkland Lake Committee Improvement Plan. You have as a backup report. It outlines the scope of the work we are to do. Key document here is a separate report that was done through the town of Kirkland Lake. It was an economic development and tourism strategic plan. That, along with feedback from staff, we have prepared draft. So let's start at the beginning. Improvement plan. Essentially, there is one in place now. It was adopted by Council in June 2019. The current community improvement plan focuses its efforts to help facilitate, stimulate commercial and industrial investment in the town of Kirkland Lake. That was strategic, and it was targeted to specific areas of the municipality. Those areas are shown at the end of the report in the attachment or appendix. So the current incentives include items such as building conversion and an expansion grant, and renovation and improvement grants, facade improvement grant, and tax increment grants. These all serve different purposes. Some of them help existing buildings that are in need of reinvestment. Others can help facilitate redevelopment, specifically the tax increment grant. When redevelopment happens, the taxes can go up quite in a large amount from what they were before, especially if the development is large. And having taxes come in a staggered manner instead of opening taxes in 1 year can be very helpful to development moving forward. So it's again, the key document for us is economic development tourism strategic plan. We also are ensuring consistency with the current town of Kirkland Lake official plan and a new town of Kirkland Lake official plan, which is in process. And through the public process, or any comments from council and staff, we're addressing certain local interests and issues. So we had a good kickoff winter last year. We've undertaken a technical review of the current community plan, jurisdictional review best practices. We have eyes on a lot of community improvement plan updates throughout the province. So we are bringing some of the best practices from those documents. And we prepared a background report. Now I'm going to be moving into the public engagement phase, which is, an exciting phase for planners and for staff. So tonight we're doing a presentation. This is really just to bring that here at this point, kicking it off. There will be in-person public engagement, date to be determined. After that, we would prepare and share that to staff. We're going to circulate that to a variety of agencies for comments as well, and share that with the public as well. Ongoing community engagement. And
Sorry,
hopefully
Sir, I'm gonna have to stop you. Unfortunately, the audio is not good quality at all. So we're catching just different sections of what you're saying at this point. This is very, very important and we really appreciate the CIP expanding. And so definitely we want to ensure that members of the public that maybe have not read the report is getting a full verbal report. Because I do know that members of council have definitely read the report and are ready to proceed possibly with questions. If it's acceptable.
and leave and rejoin, perhaps that will fix the issues that are plaguing us, perhaps. Yeah, I'm gonna leave and rejoin. We'll see if that is able to correct these technical issues. 1 second.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Would you apologize? Technology is great until it's not. There is a lot of exciting parts that I don't want the community to miss.
Hello, does this sound any better than before?
Welcome back, Mr. Jones. We can hear you 100% clearly. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you can hear me. Shall I attempt to share my screen again and see if oh,
No, that, you know what? That's okay. We will just proceed. Better not to chance it.
yeah, it might, yep. So that's where we are as overall. That was project overview. I think I'll move to the key elements, I think. So of the changes that are being considered right now, it's an expansion program to eligibility. So as I said, right now it's commercial and industrial development is essentially the focus of the CIP. The idea is to expand that to also encourage residential and mixed use projects to happen. This can be done, obviously, no matter where we are in the province. There's housing shortages and affordability issues with housing. It just the scale of it depends on the community you're in, but they are everywhere. So it seems to be a good idea to open up the CIP to allow for residential mixed-use projects to be eligible for a variety of the CIP grants, whatever those are. So those could be fixing up older buildings, facades, could be conversion of buildings from one use to another, and it could be new construction as well. So that's the idea with that, and it certainly would be in keeping with other community improvement plans to support a range of development, commercial, industrial, and residential as well. We're going to look at expanding the project area. The focus will still be the downtown, Archer Drive, but in order to allow for residential mixed-use development to also be encouraged, what we'll likely do is encourage or build in that certain zones, residential zones or mixed-use zones, will also be eligible for the grant. So that's the idea with that. There was an interest in flexible performance-based incentives. Most CIP programs have a cap shall we say. So if someone wants to come forward and do a facade improvement, it would have a certain cap, certain amount of money in that eligible for it. The idea is that perhaps with a larger prominent development that comes forward, could be a sliding scale. So smaller developments would get a smaller grant, and then larger developments get a larger grant. But right now, regardless of scale, small to big, the grant's usually going to be the same. This seems to be something that works best with sort of the tax increment grant and that deferral. The other CIP programs with the funding that's put in there yearly, which I believe is $50,000, there would have to be some consideration if there was more money, or there'd have to be the understanding that a really great project could come along and use up all the money from the program in one go, possibly. We could also consider a cap, even if there was a sliding scale, maybe there's a maximum amount that any project could have. So that'll be part of the ongoing discussion. For the building renovation improvement grant, one of the approaches was to allow for new infrastructure and high-tech equipment to be included in there. Right now, it's sort of your standard things that need to get done inside a building, electrical, plumbing, and lighting, other things like that. But with e-commerce and making purchasing easier and giving a customer a better user experience, the idea is that allowing technological upgrades would also be good to include within that grant. The facade improvement loan, currently it is really about the facade of the building and upgrading that or updating that or renovating that in some way. One of the directions here for the facade improvement loan is to also consider other elements that are out in that enhance the aesthetic of the building. Those could be murals, landscaping, and even outdoor spaces. Again, I think there's the financial component to consider, but improving streetscape is a good thing for a downtown and a CIP program, and that does enhance the person who owns the building, the users, and tourists that come to town. So it seems like a natural fit. And lastly, there was questions and a request to sort of streamline application approval processes, strengthen monitoring reporting mechanisms. That can certainly be done. However, it doesn't need to formally be amended in the CIP through the legislation or through the grants that are available. So that's just something that staff and Joe Richards can assist with as we go through the process. And there can be some process improvements. Again, we've got a lot of different municipalities that we do work within, and we'd be able to share best practices from those municipalities to help make the CIP requests and applications be processed, quicker and more efficiently, which is better for staff and better for the person applying as well. Yeah, so really, we've got phase 3, which is public engagement coming up. Phase 4, that's going to be the draft community improvement plan. That's going to be for the summer. And phase 5 will be the final community improvement plan. We're hoping to have that done by the fall. And that concludes my verbal presentation. I do apologize for the audio and the lack of slides, but I will remain here and happy to answer any questions or gaps that may be there for anyone listening in audience or online.
Thank you very much for that report. Any comments or questions from members of council? Councillor Owen.
Yeah, through you, Your Worship. I'm just looking at the maps here. And it seems the only residential parts that are included in, and I could be reading the maps wrong, are ones that are associated with commercial or other non-residential. I was kind of hoping because we do have a problem in Kirkland Lake with residential areas where people don't necessarily have the money to fix their facades, that it would have included at least some residential areas. I think there is some in Swastika, but that's about it as far as I can tell.
Is there a question?
Well, question is, why not?
Oh,
Like, why are we limiting it?
okay, thank
It
you.
was an implied question.
Yes.
I'm
Thank
trying
you,
to be
sir.
nice.
Thank you, sir.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor. Morgan can touch on this, but normally when you're adding residential to a CIP historically is that there is some component of commercial to either the building or to the space, or it's a mixed use area. But Morgan, if you want to elaborate on that, if I didn't hit it right.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Through you, Chair. Thanks to the member of the council for the question. So the mapping that you are seeing in front of you is the existing CIP areas. So that would be consistent as why there's no residential in there at currently. So the idea would be to expand it if there are residential buildings or mixed commercial zones within the same area or close to this area, they could be added in. I would have to, again, I think it's a budgetary thing. I would say it's better to be mixed use building, commercial, residential to have it, or maybe have an affordable housing component if it was standalone residential. That's another option. Or thirdly, I think if you had a prominent residential building on the main street, that was maybe a heritage building or something unique, then maybe that would warrant having some funding available for like facade improvement. But I think it's really a budgetary item. You know, if it gets expanded to the city as a whole or larger areas, you could have a lot of people look to use that grant. And but we can certainly have this as a takeaway, right? There are additional areas going to be added. I can confirm that. They're consistent with Dan has said. Are there additional areas that we can consider adding that are solely residential? We can have that as a takeaway and report back.
Thank you for that. Any
Thank you.
follow-up?
Thank you.
Anything further from members of council? Nothing more noted at this time. I do want to say how exciting it is to be building our CIP out. It was brand new to us last term. So to see us expanding in such a short period of time just speaks to the growth and development that will happen in Kirkland Lake and is currently happening. And I think further to Councillor Owen's comment, apostrophe S comment, this is something that can expand again in the future. I think it's a living document and we're just at the next phase. So we do appreciate all the work that your agency has done on this so far. And thank you very much for this update. And we are sincerely looking forward to the next steps towards our new and improved CIP. So thank you very much, Mr. Jones. Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 8.2, supplemental request to purchase part of parcel 4198 SEC CST, moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Pat Kiley.
Be resolved that report number 2026 ED 12 entitled supplemental request to purchase part of parcel 4198 SEC CST be received for information. And finally, that the execution bylaw as presented be brought forward for 3 readings on May 5th, 2026 in accordance with subsection 2.2 I of the town's notice policy.
Thank you, and this will be presented by Jenna McNaughton, Planning Administrator. You may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, to council. We received a request to purchase part of parcel 4198C, which is part of the Queen Elizabeth Park. The applicants are intending to construct a daycare facility and have offered $20,000. At the February 3rd meeting, council did approve the sale of the property. This supplemental report is being presented to request permission to present that bylaw and to formalize the offer, and also act as our public session. So the childcare facilities benefit communities by supporting families, boosting the local economy, and fostering child development. With the ongoing expansion and creation of the new mining sites within the area, there is definitely a need for additional childcare facilities to support all working families, not just mining families, but all working families throughout the community. The lands located at the Queen Elizabeth Park were selected due to its generally flat terrain and the suitability of the area being adjacent to an open space playground and a residential neighborhood. The site is designated as open space in our official plan and under the zoning bylaw as well. Although daycares are not listed specifically as a permitted use, the zoning bylaw does permit public uses to be in any zone. Since this proposed daycare facility will be a publicly funded daycare, it will be permitted within this zone. We did declare this property a surplus on February 3rd. We did conduct internal circulation. There is a small portion of the drainage tunnel that's located at the southwest corner, so that will be addressed on title that it does exist. In consultation with the Department of Community Services, we did talk about the fact that this is a soccer field. So we did consult with the Kirkland Lake Soccer Association back in December, and they indicated that this field is designated or dedicated for play with under 12, under 14. So what we proposed in consultation with the Soccer Association is that the funds up to the 20,000 of the revenue generated from this land sale can be put towards upgrading and accommodating the loss of this field at the other two soccer fields at Stan Johnson and Barrett. I think that, and that kind of summarizes it, so happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you for that report. Any questions or comments from members of council? Nothing noted. Before I let you go, I do want to note that online, there was some negative feedback, comments on some of the postings. And I do want to note what a positive it is that we are taking the funds and moving those funds into improvements in the other areas that are already designated for soccer and activity areas. So hopefully now that it has been released that it is a daycare, so that will benefit many, many families in the area, and also confirming that those funds will be used to make improvements, that though we are moving the soccer field to another area, it is bringing about greater improvements in those sports facilities that we already have. So thank you very much for that report. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to leave you to that.
Item number 8.3, operational key performance indicators, update 2026, quarter one, moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Lad Shava.
It resolved that for number 2026 CIO 10 entitled Operational Key Performance Indicators of KPIs update 2026-1 be received.
Thank you. And this will be presented by Stephanie Dell, Strategic Initiatives and Workplace Performance Coordinator. Thank you for joining us. You may proceed.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor, to members of council, I present the 2026 quarter one OKPIs. And just as a quick refresher or reminder for anybody who hasn't seen them before, attachment 1 is the monthly data for the quarter, and attachment 2 shows trends over time. With the bar graph part, we're representing previous quarters, and then the line representing the current quarter that we're in. And overall, so far, it seems the trend data shows most indicators that we're tracking are in line with historical patterns, meaning service levels and activity are generally consistent with what we've seen in the past, and any major fluctuations are largely driven by seasonal changes. So you'll see an increase in certain things as it's winter and a decrease in certain things because it is more of a summer or spring demand, rather than a change in performance or operations and comments on these variations and trends are included in attachment 2 where applicable. And new to, or brought back, is the library statistics through the MOU established between the town and the library board. We are providing their data also, but it's only found in attachment 1. And any questions or comments on anything in the library will be directed to the library CEO because she's not present. However, our directors are present and they are available for any specific questions or comments on specific data information.
Any comments or questions from members of council? Nothing noted. How was the library CEO notified of this meeting and her requirement to be in the room?
Through Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
We actually just thought we'd just take the questions because it's, it'd be more beneficial just to direct the questions to her
Okay.
on here, so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank you very much. Item number 8.4, award of contract, water main relining project, RFP 629-26-RFP, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen.
Be it resolved that report number 2026 PW04 entitled Award of Contract Water Main Relining Project RFP 62926 be received, and that council approve the award of the water main relining project of Pal Construction Limited for the provision of services outlined in the scope of work identified within 62926 RFP, and as presented in the amount of $4,214,965 plus applicable HST. And finally, that the mayor and clerk be authorized to execute the contract and any related amendments proposed in favor of the municipality without detrimental impact in the form satisfactory to the chief administrative officer and director of public works.
Thank you. And this will be delivered by Stefan Forte, Director of Public Works. Thank you for joining us this evening. You may proceed.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and councillors. Before you this evening is a report which seeks council's approval for the award of Kirkland Lake's very first water main relining contract. This project is part of the town's approved 2026 capital program and is focused on rehabilitating aging water main infrastructure along Wood Street, Duncan Avenue South, and Taylor Avenue. The work will be completed using trenchless relining methods, which reduces disruptions to residents while extending the service life of our infrastructure. The RFP was issued through the town's electronic bidding platform and evaluated in accordance with our purchasing bylaw and the evaluation framework set out in the RFP document. 2 proponents submitted proposals, both of which met all mandatory requirements. Following a detailed evaluation based on technical merit, work plan, schedule, safety, and price, Pal Construction Limited achieved the highest overall score at 94.1 points and represents the best overall value to the town. The proposed construction contract amount is 4.2 million change plus HST, which is within the approved budget. Administration is therefore recommended that council approve the award of this contract to Pal Construction Limited, which will allow this important infrastructure project to proceed as planned in 2026. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that. Any questions or comments? Councillor Shaba?
Yeah, to you, Your Worship, thank you very much. To the director, a little bit, thinking about this project, and I know it's coming up. I have a few questions, and also, I'm not really totally sold on this new technology. So maybe if you clear up some of these questions, maybe that will at least set those doubts aside. The first question that I have is, how many other communities in the north, how many other communities have undertaken water main lining to the best of your knowledge? And if there are any, did you investigate what the experience has been regarding what we do? Storm sewer, no big deal, because they're larger pipes for the most part, but the water main one is somewhat, I know it's new, I know it's out there in the south and all of that, but in Toronto where we don't want to be digging because high-rise buildings are all over the place, so you have to do whatever you gotta do. I get that over there, but I'm talking about in the northeast area, how many other communities that you know of that have undertaken this? And if there are any, what will be their experience? Because we're spending a lot of money here, $1.2 million. And I do know that it probably save us money, or will save us money. We have to go to the traditional way of digging and whatnot. But that traditional way encompasses paving and all of that too. And get everything done all at once, which whereas this trenchless technology, the asphalt and storm and all of that stuff is still pretty much intact. So you're doing the water main, but then you still have the sanitary and you have to have the storm water. So back to my questions, can you just share with us how many of our communities that we know of are undertaking this and what is their experience?
Well, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councilor. The closest project that we've studied was from North Bay, and it was a project that was done by FERPAL last year. And it just so happens that one of the inspectors that was on that job working for the North Bay community is with us now. Jason Hack is our manager of projects and engineering now. And he has had experience with FERPAL directly with one of the projects in North Bay, which ended up being a success. Therefore, I'm quite encouraged that we have someone now on staff that's seen the process, is familiar with the inspections, and I'm confident that we're up to a good start. That's for sure.
Follow-up?
So I guess it's too early to tell if it's working because that will be put together in North, so been done in North Bay last year, right? Thank you.
Oh, okay. Anything further? Counselor Elway?
Yeah, through you, your worship, Councilor Chavez stole most of my questions, although he was more technical than I'll ever be. I've never heard of this company. So just for my own peace of mind, what do they do? Where are they from? You know, a little bit of background. Also, I was told, although I'm not gonna swear and stack the Bibles, that Timmins used this process. And I'd be curious as to who did their relining. And also, I'd be curious at how long is this supposed to last? And are there any examples where it's been in place 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or because right now it looks very good. And I'm not gonna vote against it, but I'm just concerned that if it only lasts 2 years, we're not saving money, we're spending more.
Through you, Madam Mayor to Councilor, there's different types of relining products. This one here, considering the deterioration of our system, we've decided to always go with the highest class of relining product, which is a class 4. A class 4 is basically considered like a full replacement. It will have the same lifespan as a new pipe, which can easily be 50 years.
Counselor Kylie?
To you, your worship, FERPAL. How long have they been in business? I've never heard of them. I lived in North Bay 21 years.
Madam, unfortunately, I don't have the exact number on that, but I know that they are definitely one of the pioneers of this product. They're definitely one of the leading companies right now in Ontario doing these types of installation, and whereas other companies, how can I say, there are larger companies out there where they specialize in different areas, whereas FERPAL very much specializes in these very specific installations of waterway.
Thank you, Counselor Dyke. Oh, sorry, follow-up, Counselor Kylie?
So FERPAL isn't from North Bay.
No.
Okay, that's the confusion I had.
Apologies.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Dykens?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you to rest of council. Since 1986, they've been doing this, and they say it adds 80+ years of service life to the pipes, I mean, the pipe has to be okay to begin with, but that's part of your process too, right? If it's, you cut it out and put in another piece if there's a flood, that's not.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. If there is, if we do encounter a situation where the pipe is just too far gone, there are provisional items within this contract that will allow us to replace a section of water main. Yes.
Okay.
Councillor Shaba?
Yeah, you, thanks, Your Worship, to you, Director. What sort of warranty are we looking at in terms of the product itself on one hand and the labor? We all know a lot about warranty around this table here, but what sort of warranty are we looking at in terms of the product itself and in terms of the installation, labor part of it? Because sometimes you have a problem, they say, oh, no, it's not the labor part of it that's a problem, is the product itself that's defective. You know, we put it right in the right place, but just that it doesn't work. So what is there for us to at least give us hope that this will at least be up to 50 or 40 years? I don't expect a warranty of 50 or 40 years, but what is the implied warranty on those things?
Through Madam to Councillor, the implied warranty will still be a typical contract of 1 year warranty, my understanding. But there is a very rigorous testing that goes during the construction where there's specific quality assurance tests that will be occurring on the pipe itself and the different materials being put in. So if these tests don't pass, they will have to remove the liner and replace the water main.
Thank you for that. Anything further from members of council? Nothing further. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried. Thank you, sir. Item number 8.5, proposed 2026 user fees and charges, moved by Councillor Janice Ranger, seconded by Councillor Rick Owen.
Here resolved that report number 2026/10 entitled proposed 2026 user fees and charges be received. And finally, that a public meeting be held on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026 at 4:50 p.m.
Thank you. And joining us now is Treasurer Mr. Lloyd Crawford. Thank you for your presentation this evening.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to the rest of council. You'll see in the report, there's some summary comments about some of the particular areas that you see fee changes in. I would just like kind of make an overall comment, one that you've heard from me several times now. We are facing some pretty strong fiscal headwinds right now. And much like many communities, we're looking for ways to try and offset some of our costs. Clearly fees are not of a scale that would, change our decision-making necessarily or make a huge difference in our position. But the idea that we can increase fees for the users of these particular services to reflect the fact that we are providing services to specific users and not necessarily, and they should be bearing some of the cost, not necessarily all the ratepayers for some of these services. Now, there's obviously discussion and I'm happy to answer questions when we get to that point about whether the fees are appropriate. But you'll see much of this change here are in a couple of departments. There's a few new fees in my department, a couple other ones in community services, I think. But for the most part, we make an effort not to increase fees unless there's some logic for it and some challenges within the departments that you see the changes. Again, I just wanted to kind of emphasize the fact that they may not be tax revenue, but they do help us get there, and they do help quite a bit when we're making those decisions come budget time. At this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from members of council? Councillor Owen?
Okay, just give me a second here. Oh, excuse me. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, I see the airport. We still are not introducing non-resident fees there. And yet in recreation, we charge 20% over and above residence fees. Now there are certain fees The airport loses money every year. So it's a drain on our economy. And there are certain fees. It would be quite easy to apply the 20%. I.e. people that are renting space to leave their plane there, to store their plane there. There was one there, I saw the rental, the hangar office for a day or an hour or whatever. There's a number of fees there that I believe we should be charging the 20%, which is what we do in every other department. And I do not understand why it's not there when we're looking for revenue and we have money losing operation. I'm looking for Dan's department.
Okay, while you're scrolling,
Yeah.
I will have the treasurer answer regarding the airport.
Yeah, sure, Madam Mayor to Council. I think the thinking around the airport is that the vast majority of users out there are non-residents.
Yeah.
This is a fee that kind of reflects the fact that everybody out there pays the same fee, local or non-resident, but most of the users of the airport are technically non-resident. Some of them are actually using, as you know, your point is well taken about the idea of whether our fees are appropriate, you know, compared to some of our fellow communities. But at this point, you know, I don't think there wouldn't be a very significant component of local users versus non-resident users. So I think that's why we don't spend the time breaking it out.
Thank you for that. Yeah, follow up.
So that just reinforces what I'm saying. If the taxpayers are subsidizing the airport and non-residents are using it, so why are we not charging them 20%? It's a no-brainer for me. But anyways, I just throw that out. I'm still scrolling here.
Okay,
So
you
go on to
introduced
somebody
us,
else.
yeah. Counselor Shava,
No, I'm good.
okay.
No,
Any further questions or comments from other members of council? We are now back to you, Counselor Owen.
Okay, I'm spinning my
Mhm.
my laptop here. I just noticed that there were a number of what I would call significant increases in some areas in the, and I can't remember the proper name of that department. Development,
Development and interpretation.
Components, department development and planning.
yeah, development and planning, okay? And some of them were in, if my memory serves me right, were in demolition permits. And to me, we're trying to clean up the town. We're trying to make the town look better. My experience has been that where buildings needed torn down tended to be on lower valued houses, not on top end priced houses. So if we're trying to encourage people to clean up the yard, I'm not sure about the justification for that large increase. And one or two things will happen. Either nothing will happen and the buildings will stay, or the people will get a permit and tear it down.
I will have the director of that department, come up to speak to it. Is there any way we can pull the report on?
I doubt it right now.
Yeah, he has it.
Okay. I'm just gonna read it now.
So just scroll.
Where's my? Where did I see that?
It's under building.
And Dan, if I'm wrong, I apologize.
No, that's fine.
Here it's page 21 and 26.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the numbers there,
Oh.
21.
I was looking for
Yeah.
the. It's not where I thought it would be.
And there, I think,
Okay.
the demolitions,
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Oh, you think you just passed it?
it's 21, page 21. On the building, top bar.
There it is. Demolition.
So demolition, oh. Something like that.
So, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor. Under demolition for an accessory building, you have to realize that, and there's a level of cost recovery. Element that has not been changed in the demolition. There are aspects that sometimes we have to call on the expertise of either structural. Engineer or some sort of report. I don't believe in our research to move these fees that they were out of line with other municipalities. We are basically bringing ourselves back in line according to the actual cost that's incurred by the municipality when we are issuing a demolition permit. The work involved on an accessory building for demolition and then the cost at $125 to $250. The amount of work that's involved is just as much in an accessory building as it would be for a small building. So obviously we did lower the cost, but the actual work involved leading up to the demolition is also something we need to take into effect. We also, as a municipality, provide some of the equipment to cap off the services that are on the property. Those are all costs that we also incur, so. But to answer your question, the research behind it made us fall back in line with the other municipalities.
Thank you for that. Follow up?
Yeah, if we go down just one more category to, sign permit. $85 to $250, seems like a pretty significant increase.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. Again, falling back in line to where we should be, that hasn't changed in many years. The other thing is the sign permit, we may see as something very simple, but there is a lot of work that goes into the design and following ministry guidelines, and work involved when someone is applying for a sign permit or a sign permit change. So again, we're falling into rates. We don't come across a lot of sign permits. But when we do, there is the work involved.
Thank you. Any more follow up?
No, thank you, Director.
Councillor Shaba?
Yeah, to your worship, to the treasurer. My reference slide is 8 of 26, 8 of 26, and very a simple one. So, and is with NSF, no sufficient funds, $45 or so.
Yes.
Now, my question is it what you charge people after you've you give the check to the bank and the bank will, they no money, so is it a cost recovery like this $45 is what you charge or what you give to the bank? How does that work, sorry?
It's not cost recovery. It is a reflection of the fact that the banks charge us more now for NSF checks than
Yeah, I
they
know.
used to.
More than that,
Yeah, exactly.
so you're charging less than the
We're-
bank.
They also charge the bank, their bank would also charge them an NSF fee.
Yes,
So they're really getting essentially 3 NSF fees out of one transaction. So, we're just trying to reflect what our cost to process it is, not really, what the banks are doing, really control their cost structure. I'm not sure I could add much more to it other than, we're just trying to recover a little bit more of the time it takes to process the NSF check. More than a cost recovery type of thinking. They do pay the NSF fee themselves directly, anybody who NSFs the check.
but can I follow up? My
Yes,
point is that
absolutely.
what is the bank charging us or charging you for NSF?
Yeah. Three that I'm here. Wish I knew off the top of my head. I apologize. I don't know exactly. I think it is this amount. But I can't say that for sure.
Thank you.
Councillor Dykens?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to, I guess the treasurer. I see a new fee. This is at 8 of 26. If somebody overpays, we charge them $30 to give their money back?
Yeah.
Or can they move it somewhere else without being charged? I'm just curious.
Through Madam Mayor. This is, this was gonna be kind of at our discretion in a sense. Somebody makes an honest mistake and pays their water bill instead of their tax bill, we'll process that. What we find though is there's a lot of people who will pay one account basically all year. And then they'll, halfway through the year or at the end of the year, they'll ask us to transfer it, ask us to write off, charges in the middle of it. We're essentially kind of managing their budget for them after the fact. And there's a fair bit of work involved in making those transfers, even the ones that are mistakes. There's quite a bit of work involved administratively to do it properly. We have a bunch of rules we have to follow. And as I think most of you know, the banks are relatively easy to set up water and tax. Honest mistakes, we're not looking to make money off anything like that. We're just trying to, the person who doesn't really seem to care and they just keep doing it and then we fix it, then we fix it again, and then we fix it again. That's why it's in there.
Thank you.
Counselor Owen?
Just to follow up on Councillor Dickens' comment. So in other words, if I overpay my water bill by $100, just because the math is no good, can I just leave it there and apply it to next year's water bill? Would I be charged $30 for that?
No.
Okay.
It's if you ask us to move it from the water bill. to
Okay,
the
if I
tax
said
bill.
apply it to my tax bill,
That's right.
then, and my understanding is that you're gonna use discretion and you would only charge it if it's like a repeat offender or someone that has a pattern
Yeah.
of doing that.
Madam Mayor, like I said earlier, the honest mistakes, the one-time mistakes here and there, we're not looking to do anything other than fix them. But surprisingly, there's quite a few who seem to use the system just to simplify their monthly billing. I don't say that in a derogatory way, it's just the way they do things. But it costs us a fair bit of time and effort to kind of fix those things after the fact.
Thanks for that clarification. Anything further from members of council? All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Thank
Can I
you.
ask just one question then?
Oh.
Are these fees retroactive?
July 1st.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Item number 9, members' motions, there are none this evening. Item number 10, readings and considerations of bylaws, 10.1. Bylaw number 26-028, execute land sale part MCL 1403 and L 1404. Queen Elizabeth Soccer Field, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Be resolved that the following bylaw be read a first and second time. Bylaw number 2628 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of documents related to the sale of part of mining claims L 1403 and L 1404, Queen Elizabeth Soccer Field.
All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. Third, bylaw reading third time, moved by Councillor Dykens and seconded by Councillor Ranger.
Be resolved that the following bylaw be read a third time and numbered, passed, signed, and sealed. Bylaw number 2628.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 11, notices of motion. Councillor Dykens.
Yeah, to you, Madam Mayor, just gonna entitle it Living Will in Kirkland Lake. Moved by myself and seconded by yourself.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, any other motions from council? I also will be moving in next council. Oh, sorry, Councillor Owen.
Yes, I'll be presenting a motion about road signage.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and myself, I will be moving a motion entitled Resolving the Park Avenue Street Name Issue. Anything further? Okay, moving on. We got all three. Okay. Item number 12, council reports and committees of council and regional board. Local and regional board updates. Moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Dykens. Does any member at the table have anything they wish to report or share about their community or their duties? Councillor Owen.
Yes, to you, your worship, Councillor Kylie and myself attended the DSAB meeting. And I'm very pleased to report that DSAB got a very clean audit report. And the auditor, he praised on our, I'm not exactly sure of her title, I'll call her Director of Finance, Janice Laurence. And he complimented him not only on the accuracy, but also on being available and having their staff available to the auditor whenever he needed. And so it's that's nice to hear from an outside organization when you sit on the board. So yeah, it was well received. And Pat may have some extra.
Anything further from members of council? For myself, I won't be speaking this evening because there's 4 proclamations that you will have to hear me read after this. So my report will wait until the next meeting. All in favor?
Sorry, for members of council be received.
Thanks. All in favor? Opposed? Item carried unanimous. I always like to forget that part. Item number 13.1. Mental Health Week, May 4th through the 10th, 2026, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Dykens.
Be resolved that council sanction the proclamation for Mental Health Week, May 4th to 10th, 2026 in the town of Kirkland.
Whereas mental health is an important aspect of overall health and well-being. And whereas all people have an equal right to the highest attainable standard of mental well-being, which is inseparable from their right to social protection, an adequate standard of living, and freedom from discrimination. And whereas 1 in 5 Canadians experience mental health illness or mental health issues in any given year, and mental health is something that affects us all. And whereas governments, Indigenous leadership, health authorities, business and community organizations have a shared opportunity to improve the lives and health of people living in Ontario by providing the basic supports that lay the foundation for mental well-being, such as poverty reduction, stable and affordable housing, attainable education, wraparound health services, and delivering the services that enable recovery and provide the opportunity for all people to thrive. And whereas Northeastern Mental Health Week Committee has collaborated to host activities and initiatives across the districts of Cochrane and Temiskaming to raise awareness and educate the public on ways to strengthen mental well-being, included through mindfulness. And whereas Mental Health Week provides a unique opportunity to affirm our shared commitment to the building awareness of the importance of mental health well-being, now therefore I, Stacey White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim May 4th to the 10th, 2026 as Mental Health Week in the Town of Kirkland Lake. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. 13.2 Hope Air Day, May 6th, 2026, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Shaba.
Be resolved that council sanction the proclamation for Hope Air Day, May 6th, 2026 in the town of Kirkland Lake.
Thank you. Whereas access to healthcare is a fundamental right for all citizens, regardless of their geographic location or financial circumstances. And whereas over 40 years, Hope Air, a charitable organization, has been dedicated to removing barriers to healthcare by providing free travel supports for Canadians who must travel far from home to access medical treatment. And whereas Hope Air helps bridge the distance between patients and ensuring that people living in rural, remote, and underserved communities can reach life-changing and life-saving medical care. And whereas the impact of Hope Air extends beyond the individual patients by supporting families, strengthening communities, and contributing to a more equitable healthcare system across Canada. And whereas the compassion and the commitment demonstrated by Hope Air, its volunteers, partners, donors, and supporters over the past 4 decades exemplify the power of community and collective action. And whereas Hope Air's 40th anniversary is an opportunity to recognize the importance of equitable access to healthcare and raise awareness of the challenges many Canadians still face in reaching the medical care they need. Now therefore, I, Stacy White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim May 6, 2026 as Hope Air Day in the Town of Kirkland Lake. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. 13.3 Provincial Day of Action on Litter, May 12th, 2026, moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Janice Ranger.
Be it resolved that council sanction the proclamation for Provincial Day of Action on Litter, May 12th, 2026 in the town of Kirkland Lake.
Thank you. Whereas the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks is taking action to reduce the amount of waste going to landfills and becoming litter by bringing awareness to the impacts of waste on our environment and encouraging people to take action at home and in their community to help keep our environment clean and healthy for generations to come. And whereas the Provincial Day of Action on Litter is celebrated on the second Tuesday of May each year in Ontario. And whereas the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks suggests the following ways to decrease waste and litter in your area. Reducing waste, giving old products new life instead of throwing them away. For example, using old containers for storage or supporting secondhand clothing stores as opposed to buying new. Diverting waste. Recycling or composting materials when and where possible to divert waste away from landfills. For example, by using your blue and green bins. When cleaning up litter, make sure you properly separate out recyclables. Preventing waste and litter. Stopping waste before it's created and before it has a chance to become litter. For example, by choosing to buy goods with less packaging or by bringing a reusable cup to take out establishments that accept them. Cleaning up litter. Helping to keep your community clean by picking up and properly disposing of litter or by organizing a community litter cleanup for others. Our litter cleanup guides have more information on how to organize a safe and successful cleanup. Properly disposing of waste, making sure anything that does not belong in the trash is securely placed in garbage bins to help keep our neighborhoods clean. And whereas the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks encourages everyone to join the litter cleanup in their neighborhood. Now therefore, I, Stacy White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim May 12th, 2026 as the Provincial Day of Action on Litter in the Town of Kirkland Lake. Moved by, all in favor? Opposed? None noticed. Item carried unanimous. 13.4 Fibromyalgia Awareness Day, May 12th, 2026, moved by Councillor Rick Owen, seconded by Councillor Vlad Shaba.
Be it resolved that council sanction the proclamation for Fibromyalgia Awareness Day, May 12th, 2026 in the town of Kirkland Lake.
Thank you. Whereas fibromyalgia is a complex illness whose symptoms vary widely and may include debilitating chronic pain, overwhelming fatigue, and cognitive impairment. And whereas there is no known cause or cure for fibromyalgia. And whereas Fibromyalgia Awareness Day is an opportunity to raise awareness and to show support for those living with FM and their families. And whereas FM Association Canada is the only national organization in Canada that supports both FM research and services for people with FM and their families. And whereas fibromyalgia affects about 5% of Canadian population, which is over 2 million men, women, and children of all ages and races that are affected with this chronic illness. And whereas people with FM have a right to be treated with dignity and have a right to pain relief. Now, therefore, I, Stacy White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, do hereby proclaim May 12, 2026 as Fibromyalgia Awareness Day in the Town of Kirkland Lake. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. 13.5 Victorian Order of Nurses Week, May 17th to the 23rd, 2026. Moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Dykens.
Be resolved that council sanction a proclamation for Victorian Order of Nurses Week, May 17th to the 23rd in the town of Kirkland.
Thank you. Whereas the Victorian Order of Nurses, VON for Canada, is a charitable community-based healthcare organization that addresses community health and social needs. Whereas VON Kirkland Lake nurses, home support workers, community service coordinators, and many other staff and volunteers have been caring for the lives and well-being of the residents of Kirkland Lake. And whereas VON's nursing, health promotion, and support services make contributions to the healthcare system in Ontario. Now, therefore, I, Stacy White, Mayor of the Town of Kirkland Lake, Do hereby proclaim May 17th, 2026 as Victorian Order Nurses Week in the town of Kirkland Lake. All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item number 14, additional information and mayor's provincial policy matters. There are none this meeting, and we will now take a brief recess before moving into closed. Okay, folks. We are back from recess to move into closed session, moved by Councillor Ranger, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Be it resolved that council adjourn in camera pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, labor relations or employee negotiations, and a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. 6:35 p.m. for the following reasons. Item 15.1, council representative resignation and appointment to the Kirkland Lake OPP Detachment Board. Item 15.2, UP Local 1074 negotiations, request to bargain. And item 15.3, chief administrative officer recruitment director.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. We'll now rise from in camera. Moved by Councillor Dykens, seconded by Councillor Shaba.
Be resolved that council reconvene in open session at 8:43 p.m.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. There is no items coming out of in camera this evening. Item number 17, notices of reconsideration. Does any member at this table wish to have any matter decided upon this evening reconsidered? Nothing noted. Item number 18.1, bylaw 26-029, moved by Councillor Dykens, seconded by Councillor Kylie.
Be resolved that the following bylaw be read a first, second, and third time and numbered, passed, signed, and sealed. Bylaw number 2629, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held Tuesday, May 5th, 2026.
All in favor? Opposed? None noted. Item carried unanimous. Item 19, I move this meeting be adjourned, seconded by Dolly Dyke.
Just.